Hey, what's up, everybody? Upheaval Turning Points for Nations in Crisis by Jared Diamond. Jared Diamond is a professor of geography at UCLA and the author of half a dozen best selling books, one of which, Guns, Germs, and Steel, won the Pulitzer Prize in 1998. I'm going to have to create a Jared Diamond playlist on this channel because, besides this being the fourth Jared Diamond book I've featured, he also has another book, The World Until Yesterday, that I'm excited to read, and I intend to review his three-part Civilization's Rise and Fall series, of which Upheaval is the third and final book. So I'll save any comparing and contrasting for the series review. Here I'm just going to talk about Upheaval, and I'll link all the other Jared Diamond reviews in the description of this video. So Upheaval is a work of comparative history in the political science genre, but it has this unique conceptual dimension that not only makes the book much more interesting, but ensures its relatability and applicability to a very broad array of readers. Diamond's wife, Marie, is a clinical psychologist who specialized in crisis recovery. Part of what she does involves assessing the overcoming of her clients' crises using this 12-point framework developed by the psychiatrist Eric Lindemann. These 12 factors are related to the outcomes of personal crisis, and they are: 1. Acknowledgement that one is in a crisis; 2. Acceptance of one's personal responsibility to do something; 3. Building a fence to delineate one's individual problems to be solved; 4. Getting material and emotional help from other people or groups; 5. Using other individuals as models of how to solve problems; 6. Ego strength; 7. Honest self-appraisal; 8. Past experience of previous personal crisis; 9. Patience; 10. Flexible personality; 11. Individual core values; and 12. Freedom from personal constraints. These are used by psychologists to help identify issues and to formulate goals with the client and to help keep them on track. It occurred to Diamond that maybe this framework could be applied to nations in crisis rather than just individuals, and he found that almost every point could be used for nations as well. He only had to slightly modify them to make them appropriate to this new application. Acknowledgement that one is in crisis became national consensus that one's nation is in crisis. Acceptance of one's personal responsibility to do something became acceptance of national responsibility to do something, and so on. It's this 12-point framework that this book is based on. It consists of three major parts. Part 1 discusses individual crises using the 12-point framework. Part 2, the history section, discusses a major crisis as experienced by different nations. There's a chapter on Finland and their war with the Soviet Union, Japan, Chile, Indonesia, Germany, and Australia. As we're reading, we're thinking about how our framework might apply to different events and situations being discussed. Then at the end of each chapter, we actually go over how the framework fits in with each major event. Part 3 of the book is about national crises today and what lies ahead. This portion features Japan, the US, and the world in general. He lays out what he believes are the biggest issues in the US today, some of which include political polarization and the declining of political compromise both between and within both parties, social mobility and the distribution of wealth, the issues surrounding voting and inequality. The chapter on what lies ahead was very good. It talks about all the same stuff that so many of these other science books try to communicate, things like resource depletion, carbon footprints, and climate change, and the threat of nuclear winter. These are all concepts that many people have been pushing to educate the public on more and more, but this was the first time that reading about nuclear war really got me worried, as in it was hard to get through that part because I actually imagined, like, what if it happened right now? And I probably imagined a little too vividly because it gave me a bit of an anxiety attack, and that's something I've never had to deal with. So my final thoughts: I thought the book was very good. It's typical Jared Diamond. If you ask me what my favorite Jared Diamond book is, I wouldn't really be able to answer you. They're all very good and for different reasons. This book is just what I've come to expect from Jared Diamond. He's very eclectic, and by that I mean that he appreciates the multidisciplinary way of looking at important issues. Upheaval is part history, part social science, part environmental science, and part political science. It contains all the reasons why so many people love Jared Diamond. A quick word on structure. Everything about this book is very well organized. It's not one of those books that's just a huge list of facts and stories. It's got the usual Jared Diamond format of many chapters within sections, all clearly shown at the beginning of each chapter. The narrative flow is neatly organized and there are no surprises, so you always have a good idea of how it's going and where you are. He sets up the information in a way that allows the reader to apply earlier learned concepts to the later reading, which makes you feel like you're earning a rewarding feeling. And I suspect that that's a product of the fact that Diamond is a university professor. He's an educator, and he writes these books because he wants to educate people. It's written to be easily digestible, whether you're one of his students or a casual book shopper. The book also has 2 sections of color photos spaced throughout the book. Altogether, there are about 30 pages of photos. This book is also fairly long at 463 pages for the main body, but I think you'll enjoy it enough that you'll get through it fairly quickly. This was Diamond's most recent book, and reading this, you do get this sense that he's maturing more as an author, and it comes through in the form of payoffs to the reader. The idea of laying the crisis framework over national events worked very well, and I think that's a testament to the execution. One could see how an idea like this could have easily been botched, but that didn't happen here. So I really enjoyed reading Upheaval. I love the entire Civilization's Rise and Fall series, but this was a worthy book as a final installment. If you saw my video on that book Empire by Paul Strathern, Upheaval was like a much better version of that. Nothing against Empire, but Upheaval is on quite a different level. Okay, so that's it for this one, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I have more to say about this book in the next video on the Civilization's Rise and Fall series. For now, I recommend this book to anyone interested in global politics, modern world history, or the idea of crisis and recovery, or anyone who enjoyed any of Jared Diamond's other books. If this sounds like you, definitely check out Upheaval, Turning Points for Nations in Crisis by Jared Diamond.